Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us this evening. My name is Tyrell Morris, and I am the Executive Director of the Orleans Parish Communication District. Today, I will be presenting to you my fiscal year 2021 budget for the agency. This morning, I had the privilege of presenting this budget to the New Orleans City Council, and it's really Sorry about that. Tomorrow, the board will be taking some deliberative conversations about the budget and hopefully adopting it. And if you have any comments tomorrow, you can also view live tomorrow as well, or send your comments to info@911nola.org. Thank you very much. So let's get started. The department overview, the Orleans Parish Communication District is an independent political subdivision of the state of Louisiana. This is an area that often needs some clarity. OPCD is not a city department. It is not a component unit of the city of New Orleans. We are, again, an independent political subdivision of the state of Louisiana. We are the only public safety answering point within the city limits of New Orleans. That means that we are the organization responsible for answering and processing calls that come through the 911 system. And we are the only emergency communications center in the city. Some our other public safety partners have their own communication centers, but we are the only designated PSAP. As I mentioned earlier, we are made up of a board of 11 commissioners, and 7 of them are under mayoral control. And I will say in the last 3 years, the organization has truly elevated to a position of international leadership. We like to say we are living on the bleeding edge of technology because our people demand us to do so. This is a look at the organization structure here at OPCD. In my office, I do have a chief of staff and an executive assistant, and there's a director level that reports to me. There's a director of support services, a director of human resources, a director of operations, which is ultimately responsible for the management of the operations floor, the director of technology, a director of 311 operations, and a manager of training and compliance. The reason that the compliance manager reports directly to me is to ensure that any investigative findings that come from complaints get elevated to me directly. Here at OPCD, we have a culture that is driven by service. Here at OPCD, is no longer okay, or it's not okay to just come to work. Our staff must show up every time they walk through these doors. They must be sincere and empathetic in the delivery of the services they provide. They must be honest and humble with the agency, themselves, the public, and their coworkers. They must be optimistic. Yes, you must be in a good mood. You must have a positive attitude. We expect you to be well-informed and willing, and it's not about what you know, it's what you should know. You must be upbeat and positive, and finally, procedurally compliant, follow the rules. The mission of this organization is very simple: to get the right people to the right place at the right time. And we strive to do that better than anyone else in the world. That is not with a sense of competition with our neighboring brothers and sisters in 911. It is really a statement of accountability. We always strive to push ourselves to improve our service. And when you strive to be the best, you will always be moving forward. Some accomplishments that happened this year in 2020. I do want to take a moment to recognize some staff that received some tremendous accomplishments. We have Ms. Teresa Thompson and LaShare Watson. And Teresa as our training compliance manager and LaShare as a training compliance supervisor. They achieved the designation registered public safety leader. And Joanna Green is our director of operations, received the designation of certified public safety executive. That is the highest level of certification and credential you can receive in the field of emergency communications. And Joanna joins the rank of 4 people in the history of Louisiana to achieve this designation. All 4 of those individuals came from here at OPCD. We deployed some life-saving technology, the Smart 911 application. So any members of the public that are watching, we invite you to download the Smart 911 app. It's free, or visit smart911.com and create a profile for your family. And when you call 911 with a phone number associated with that profile, very critical information will be presented to the call taker so they have as much information as possible to make the best decisions for you in an emergency. We also, through our partnership with Wave Mobile Safety, deployed the panic button application for our schools, K through 12. This provides all staff and faculty inside of the school to send us quick alerts for emergencies inside the school. For example, things around active shooter, they simply hold the red button down for 1.5 seconds. It then sends an alert to us. And then we can send an alert to everyone in the school that the school is now on lockdown and that an active shooter has been reported. They can also report other types of emergencies inside the school. So we have as much information as possible to get them some assistance. Text to 911 is now live in Orleans Parish. We ask you, we call when you can, text when you can't. This initiative had 2 purposes. One is to ensure that we were accessible to our deaf and hard of hearing community, but also in other major cities, we have seen a spike in instances of sex trafficking. And it is really important that, and we believe the advent of this technology will help those individuals who are usually silent or not in a position to safely make a traditional 911 call. This is also a way that they can send us some information to say they need some help. Pretty soon, we'll be able to bring video and pictures to 911. But again, call if you can, but now in Orleans Parish, you can text if you can. We made some significant infrastructure enhancements. We deployed a system-wide mobile computer-aided dispatch system with our partnership with Motorola Solutions. That includes both the New Orleans Fire Department, New Orleans EMS, and the New Orleans Police Department. We also moved the entire public safety broadband network to the AT&T FirstNet, which gives our public safety first responders priority as far as internet connectivity to manage the various applications they use in the field. Traditionally, when we have events like Mardi Gras, a lot of people are in a small concentrated area, which really puts some strain on the broadband network that is used on the commercial side. This is a dedicated network that will ensure high reliability for our first responder community. I have the honor to lead the Louisiana Emergency Response Task Force. We received our first ever deployment mission where Baldwin County 911 and Alabama requested some assistance after a hurricane hit landfall in their area. Our team spent a week there to help stabilize their system and provided them much needed support. And it was a great experience for everyone that went to lend a helping hand to a neighbor. If you are watching ABC on Monday nights, I invite you to join us for our new show called Emergency Call. This will definitely provide an insight about what it is to sit in the seat of a 911 emergency communication specialist. One thing about the industry, about 25% of our staff that work in 911 are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. The average public safety official could run anywhere to 10 to 20 calls during the shift. It is possible that our 911 staff could take up to 200 emergency calls in a 12-hour period. If you can imagine the constant exposure to that type of high intense traumatic incidents ultimately weighs heavily on your mental health. And so this show really emulates what it's like to sit in this chair. But this agency takes the mental health of our staff very personally and very seriously. And we try our best to alleviate the impacts of the work by balancing it with wellness opportunities, providing counseling, employee assistance programs. We've done yoga on the lawn. We've done movie nights and just try to make it okay to work here. Also, our staff wanted to serve beyond the four walls of OPCD, so we launched Project Unity, and this is where we take our heroic works and take them to the streets. We've had two instances of this year. One, we participated in a drive-through grocery giveaway in Algiers. We also did a beautification project at a women's shelter. Here's some of our work products. For this past year, compared to the same time last year, our 911 calls and public safety responses are down a bit, but we believe that is directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we haven't had very many large special events in the city since COVID hit us. And so we do expect to be a reduction in our 911 calls. On the 311 side, though, we have seen a huge spike in the amount of 311 calls that come to the agency and the services that are being provided. People are home more often now, so there's more things to call about. Also, we have provided a laundry list of services related to COVID-19 and the response. And so we were pleased to see that our people are really using the services for what it is there for. As a reminder, 311 is available 24 hours a day in Orleans Parish. You can reach 311 by dialing 311 if you're in the parish, or visit our website at nola.gov/311. Our goals for next year: we are in the process of doing a complete forklift upgrade of the emergency services internet network. That means that the routing of your 911 call will soon be a different experience. Right now, the routing of 911 calls is based on a system that was built over 50 years ago and is beginning to show its age and have frequent instances of failure. So this complete upgrade will enhance how calls are routed properly. So right now, when you call 911 from your cell phone, you hit the nearest cell tower, and then that is what determines where your call goes. But some of our citizens or residents that live on the boundaries or the borders of the parish, they're constantly hitting frustration points. When they dial 911, they get routed to the wrong 911 center. This upgrade will soon remedy that issue and really route the call based upon the location of the caller. Soon, this network upgrade will help us bring picture and video inside the 911 center. We're looking to do some indoor mapping of our high-rise facilities so we can better direct first responders when there's an emergency. An upgrade to our telephone system, a deployment of a new parish-wide law enforcement and jail management system, and soon we will have text to 311. I talked at the beginning of the presentation about text to 911. We will soon be deploying text to 311. Last year, OPCD, we announced the beginnings of a project to expand our physical plant to really meet the growing needs of our facility. For the 6 hurricanes that we had in the Gulf this year heading towards us, we've had to activate the staff, and in every single instances, I ran out of space to put the people to work. So we're in a position now where at some point the calls are going to outpace the amount of people we physically have in the space to answer them. And so thinking about the future, we have proposed this expansion project. Also, to be very innovative and provide a wealth of services to our employees, improve employee retention and recruitment, we do plan to transition one of our older buildings into the first ever public safety child care facility. OPCD has submitted a request to the state of Louisiana for capital outlay funding to fund this project up to 75%. And hopefully we'll have a vote on that measure in the next legislative session. The 2021 budget summary, I'm sorry. So next year, in the next year budget, we are seeing a reduction in salaries. I think if you're listening to many budget presentations from the city, you'll notice that the COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the revenues. And so the government agencies are having to make cuts to balance the budget. We are no different. We are seeing a major savings in salaries because a lot of our tenured employees have taken the opportunity to retire, hence lowering the salary liability for the people that we will use to replace them. We are seeing an increase in our other operating expenses, and most of that is related to the new technology we're deploying on the 911 side, but also to increase our cybersecurity position. 911 centers across the country are constantly being targeted by bad actors, and we need to spend these extra dollars to protect our most critical infrastructure. And that's the end of the presentation for me. One other thing I wanted to share with the group is that we are not planning to increase the number of salary or positions we have here in the organization. We have 180 employees, and we plan to keep it at 180 employees next year. And although the city of New Orleans in their budget is preparing to furlough city employees for 26 days next year, we are not planning to do that. And there, now, I would be remiss if I did not mention we did consider it, but we realized that if we furloughed our staff, that would have a direct impact on how we provide your most critical 911 services that potentially could be life threatening. And so, in order to protect the integrity of the mission, we found savings in other areas. And so, at this point, in this moment, we are not planning to have any furloughs for our staff. Now, if the economic impact takes a turn downward and we have to find further savings, that option may be on the table later on. But as of right now, it is not in our plan. I'm going to take a minute to check and see if we have any comments that have come in so I can answer them. Give me 1 second. All right, thank you all very much. We have not received any comments from the public or in this chat, but these video will be made available. It's going to be live on our Facebook page. You can go back and watch it later on. If you do have any comments you would like to send to us, again, the email address is info@911nola.org. And I thank you very much for joining us this evening.